You remember the Miyoo A30, right? You know, this little guy. You should remember it because we all made such a big case about it when it was released. And unfortunately, that wasn't good news. We didn't make a positive good case for it. We basically trashed it because Miyoo made the grave mistake of releasing this little bad boy with half-baked software, with software that was improperly configured. There were cores that just didn't behave properly. SNES had a shader that slowed down performance on it. It was basically a mess. Let's say it how it is. But thankfully, this changes today, my dear nerds, because I am happy to say that Spruce 3.0 was released. Ideally enough, the release of this video should sync up with the release of Spruce 3.0, but I might be off with a couple of hours. But either way, you should install Spruce 3.0 urgently after you see this video. But first, a quick reminder on what Spruce is for people who haven't kept up with the custom firmware scene when it comes to the Miyoo A30. Basically, Spruce is the first custom firmware in a way, because it's actually a modification of the stock firmware that we got for the Miyoo A30, and it's arguably one of the best, partly because the stock firmware is kind of trash. But anyway, I don't want to tease you too much with this, so let's check out what Spruce 3.0 actually brings. So there's a whole big change log when it comes to Spruce 3, because that's why they decided to jump all the way to Spruce 3.0. The main highlights, in case you want to leapfrog through this video, are that it's kind of very close to OnionOS now, at least when it comes to feature parity, in my opinion. It has a whole new game switcher. It can instantly resume and can imitate the fake hibernate that I loved so much in OnionOS, which is the thing that I praised in every custom firmware video that I made up until this point. We really shouldn't breeze um, over this feature. It's that freaking useful to have fake hibernate, especially if you do very short gaming sessions on these things. It has an updater which will help you update from one version to another without losing your save states and your games and basically your setup. And now it auto clocks the CPU on this thing automatically depending on which platform and which game you might be playing. And this is downright awesome because you don't have to micromanage basically the clock speeds to save battery now. So anyway, let's quickly dive into my subjective way of why I love this thing. In fact, you know what? Let me whip out a Miyoo Mini. Now, I might be shallow as whole heck, which I know I am, but look at how identical these look. This is Onion OS, and this is Spruce 3.0, and the fact that it doesn't have double entries like we used to have games and RetroArch games. I always hated that. And Spruce, granted, this is a Spruce 2.0 feature, doesn't duplicate the game lists, which is freaking awesome. But before I continue, I just want to quickly mention that this particular Miyoo A30, this golden boy, which for all intents and purposes, I'm gonna call it golden boy from now on, was provided to me by the nice guys at Go Game Geek. Go Game Geek is actually a pretty cool store, and if you want to buy a Miyoo A30 after watching this Spruce video, I'm gonna leave a link to them and the Miyoo A30 in the video description. But anyway, let me quickly browse through some of the features that stood out to me. The game switcher actually behaves a bit different than the one on OnionOS. It won't actually display all the games. It will, however, display the games that you had when you entered the game switcher in the first place. This is an attempt by the developer of Spruce to not have the game switcher list clogged with a million games that you might actually not want to continue to play. So the thought here is that you would only have the games that stood out to you, that you actually want to quote unquote save in the game list. It actually works like a charm. Let me turn the volume down. And I died. Oh, freaking awesome. It's like real life. You see, my dear nerdy creature, Onion OS for me is basically an amalgamation of awesome features that made life super easy when it came to playing on the go or playing in short or even long session on this thing. And this software made the Mio Mini, this one, as along with its bigger brother, the Mio Mini Plus, freaking beautiful to use. And one of those features was the fake hibernate that Onion OS was, in my opinion, known for. It was the best thing that you could have on an operating system, on a custom firmware for these small, actually kind of dumb devices. And beautifully enough, this is replicated here. The thing is that you have to long press the power button. Awesome. I freaking died. Up until the Miyoo A30 vibrates. What it actually does when it does that is that it creates a save state and then it shuts down by itself. And now, if I turn it on, you'll see that it will, unfortunately for me, boot Contra just where I died right now. Let's see. Okay, yeah, exactly in the same place. But one of the most awesome quality of life improvements that Spruce or the Spruce developer could have done, and which he did, was make it easy to upgrade from previous versions and to future versions after Spruce 3.0. And you can now do it with an auto update feature. Basically, you have to install an app, which is quite easy, and then you can sideload future updates so that you don't lose anything from your save states to your game collection. You don't have to nuke cards. You don't have to do any of that circus, which you shouldn't in the first place. So that's why, in my opinion, Spruce 3.0 now is more close than ever to Onion OS, more close than most other custom firmware that we even see on freaking Amberneck, in my opinion. And not only that, we simply have to think about things like under the hood optimizations. It's my personal, subjective as heck opinion that with Spruce 3.0, the performance actually increased on quite a bit of systems. For example, I couldn't really play anything to my level of comfort at least, anything Dreamcast related, but now, Lord and behold, I can play Legacy of Kain Soul River 1 on the Dreamcast edition, I mean, on the very modest in performance Miyoo A30. In fact, let me quickly highlight this. And remember, this is the freaking Dreamcast edition, which is way heavier than the PlayStation 1 edition. And it actually behaves in a playable state, I would say. And this is the Miyoo A30. This ain't no workhorse, my dear nerd. But considering the fairly modest power that this handheld has, imagine the optimizations that had to go through to have something like Dreamcast play on this freaking thing. And I don't want to raise expectations. You must be aware of the fact that not all Dreamcast games will play on this. In fact, most of them probably won't. But what I tried actually worked beautifully on this. Same goes for GBA, not a freaking stutter in sight. Same goes for SNES, which was super famous for slowing down on the stock firmware. Actually, you know what? Let me mute this. But we don't have such problem here. It's simply more optimized, and this is the point that I'm trying to make. In case you have a Mio Mini and for some god awful reason you're sitting on stock, then you need to install Spruce 3.0. Or you can install other nice things like MinUI, that also works, but I'm kind of on Team Spruce. And I dare say it, you should be as well. So yeah, my dear fleshy, carbon-based nerds, I know I am biased as hell. And yeah, I'm fully aware that I am unapologetically opinionated when it comes to custom firmware, but I truly think that custom firmware is something that greatly enhances already decent hardware. Now, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want a Miyoo A30. In my opinion, for the price that you can get one of these nowadays, it's totally worth a buy. They are dirt cheap because they weren't as big of a success as Miyoo initially wanted the Miyoo A30 to be. And as a consequence, they are a dime a dozen, basically. They are very cheap. That's what I'm saying over here. And because it's not as performant out of the box, this makes it even more of a good candidate to be greatly enhanced by good custom firmware. And that is kind of my point. And in case you don't know how to install it, you simply download Spruce 3.0, you take uh, an SD card of your choice, you download the Rufus. I assume you know how to do this. If not, give me a message in the comment section and I'll walk you through it in more detail. But anyway, you download the Rufus, you format your SD card into FAT32, then you copy paste what you find in the Spruce 3.0 archive onto your card, you add your BIOS and your ROM files, and you're good to go. And that's basically it, my dear nerd. It isn't really complicated, but again, if you need help, let me know and I'll be happy to help you. Just write something in the comment section. So anyway, if you're one of my supporters, thank you very, very much. I truly mean it. Thank you very much for supporting me. This is the Wall of Fame, and you can be on this Wall of Fame if you want to. Doesn't matter if you choose to support me in Patreon or as a channel member, you will still end up on it, along with all the people that are already here. So anyway, my dear nerds, this is all from me. I wanted to make a quick video out of this, and I'm kind of exhausted because I didn't sleep throughout the entire night. So I hope my tired as heck face didn't distract too much and you were still able to get value out of this video. But in any case, I'll see you in the next one, my dear nerds. Let me know what you think of Spruce 3.0. Let me know if you plan on installing it. Again, if you don't have a Miyoo A30, in case you want to get what I can basically describe now as a horizontal Miyoo Mini with Onion OS, which, disclaimer, it's not Onion OS, but it's as close as you can get, then you'll find links for it in my video description as well, along with a coupon which will give you 12% off. But anyway, dear nerd, see you in the next video. As always, I love you very much. Bye. Tired Vlad kisses.